Hello and welcome to UpTech. Today we're going to discuss continuous series of Python line to Py, and this is our another episode about function and recursion. The agenda of today will briefly discuss how the function is work, how we can create and make our own function. Also we'll briefly discuss a recursive function as well, and we'll give some proper example. So let's start with it. What is function? A function is basically a block of code that perform a specific task, and this task can be reused again by just calling the function name. Let me give example. Let's say that I want to build a calculator, and I write the function name is calculator, and I write some instruction. Let's say that addition, subtraction, multiplication, and so on. So when I wanted to use this function, I just call the name of the function by passing the parameters values. It will take some arguments and it will run. So let me give you a simple example without passing any arguments and parameter. Very simple. Let's say that I wanted to take a function, and by writing the function you just write def, and the name of the function, let's say that I wanted to write function which name is greeting. After that I write some instruction. Let's say that I wanted to welcome to Tech, and I run this function, and so this is my function. So I write the function, the name of the function is greeting, then I write instruction. Here I just write one line of instruction, welcome to Tech. Now I want to call the function and it will return my results. So greeting parenthesis and welcome to Tech. So this is how the function is work. Instead of repeating your lines every time and getting the output, you just write inside the function of your instruction and just recall your name of the function. It will return your results. Let's say that I wanted to recall another time and welcome to object. So fantastic. This is how the function is work. Type of function. There's a two type of function in Python. The first one is built-in function. Built-in function is already present in the Python. Let me give an example. So let's say that I have a list of number, and I say that 1 2 3 4 9, and I wanted to use built-in function, and I return my results as 5. So this function that I used here, len, is a built-in function. So they have a more example in built-in function. Let's say that print, sum, len, these function are built-in function. The second one is user-defined function, which created by user. So we already create a user-defined function previously, this one. So we write a function name is greeting, and we just writing function welcome to Tech, and this is the function. As we call the function, it will return welcome to Tech. So this kind of function is basically user-defined function. Let me write another function to understand. Let's say that I want to do farewell, and I wanted to goodbye Tech, and let's run, and I just recall my function, so it will say that goodbye from Tech. So this example is the user based function because it's created from the user. So this is how we can create our own function. So these are two examples basically that we understand here. One is built-in function, which already present in the Python. I gave one example using len function, and the second one is basically created by user. So this function is basically user-defined function. I hope it's clear for you. Function with parameter and argument. So parameter is basically a variable listed in the function definitions, and the argument is basically the actual value that you pass to the function when calling. Let me give example to understand what is parameter and what is argument and how this concept is work in this example. Let's say that I wanted to write a function, and let's say that greeting function, and I take one parameter, the name, and I said that print the value. So what's here? Here I write function greeting and then I pass parameter. This is basically a parameter. If I hover on it, you can see, and this is basically parameter, and I doing welcome to your tech and the name that I will write, which will print later. So now I'm calling the function. My function is greeting and I am passing arguments. So whatever I passing here, the value, actual value, when I calling the function, this is argument, and I write on the definition. So let's say that I want to argument Eric, and if I run this function, it will say that welcome to eOptech Eric. Now I wanted to say someone else greeting. Let's say that I would so I say instead of Eric, I say that Amir, and if I run my function, it will say that welcome to eOptech Amir. So I write my function and I take one parameter here, and then I just call my function and I pass the value. The value that I'm passing here we call argument. So I just pass my argument Eric. It will call the function, it will print the results, it will say welcome to eOptech, same as greeting Amir as well. So this is how parameter and argument is work. Before moving forward with parameter and argument with few example, let me quickly explain differences between return and print here. Let me give example. Let's say that I want to take the same example here. First I will explain about return example. So as you know, I already defined my function. Function name is addition, then I pass my two parameter, then I am adding these two parameters values, and then I return these results. I run my function. Now let's say that I just call my function. Let's say that I want to define my function name is like a is equal to addition 3 3, and then I will print a and it will return the 6. So let me give the example of print and then I will explain how it's work. So instead of taking return here, let me take print example and I run my function here. Now let me define my function additions 3 plus 3, and as soon as I run it b, it will return 6. If I print my b, it will return none, but if I print my function which I call return a, and it will return 6. So in a return is basically as soon as we return the results to the function, then we define the function until we print the result, then we will get it. But in print, as soon as you define the function, it will return the results without calling a b. So that was a quick concept, differences between return and print. Sometime interview asks this question, and it's a very popular question, to be honest, in that case. Now I'll explain function with default parameter. This is our next example while using parameter and argument, and this concept is also used while when we are making and writing function. So let's say that I wanted to write my function and I wanted to multiply some values. Let's say that my function name is multiply, and I wanted to take num1, num2 and num3, and I wanted to multiply all the values here. So I multiply three values and I return my results. So now I will call my function here. My function name is mul, and I am passing my three value 2 3 4, and if I return the results, it will 24. How? 2 multiplied by 3 6, 6 multiplied by 4 24. So here it works. Now I said that default parameter. What does it mean by default parameter? Let's say that I already define my parameters values. Let's say that I want to take 2, num2 value is 3, num value is 4. If I run this function, what I need to do, I just need to mul, just define or call my function, and it will return the results 24. So this is how we can write default parameter. Let me show you another example. This is my default parameters. If I don't pass any argument, it will, based on the default parameter, it will return my value. Let's say that I want to pass some argument, then what will happen? Let's say that I wanted to pass my one argument here. Let's say that I wanted to pass 5. What will happen? So when I pass the value 5, let me show you the example. So when I pass the value one argument, although we have a 3 parameter, it will override with the first parameter. So 2 replace with 5, so 5 multiplied by 3, which is 15, 15 times 4, which is 60. So this is how default parameter is work, and this example here is basically I'm overriding the value here. So let's say that I wanted to call my function again, and I wanted to override two value, 1 and 1, and if I return my results, what will happen? 1 will override with 2, 1 will override with 3, 1 multiplied by 1, so 1 again multiplied with 4, the results will be 4. So this is how the default parameter is work. Either you can write by default parameter, either you just simply write the name of the parameter and passing the values in the argument that I show you a few examples here. So that's it from the function. I hope you understand the concept very well. If you have any doubt, feel free to write in the comment section. In the function, let me recap the concept again. Function is basically a block of code that perform a specific task. Writing the function, we just write def and the function name, and by calling the function name we get our results. There's a two type of function. One is built-in function, which is already in Python. The second is user defined function that we write here, farewell. and there is like function with parameter and arguments. Parameter is basically value listed in the function. Argument is basically actual value that you passed to the function when calling it. So this is the parameter here and this is the argument here. Hope this example is clear for you. Then we also see the difference between return and print. There's a minor concept here. This is mostly useful when you're writing the function. Mostly when we're writing the function we always use return, but some in cases we also use the print case as well. Then we also see a couple of example with default parameter. Either we can write by default parameter if needed, otherwise we can passing our value in the argument and those value will take overrides. So this is how the function is work. And the next topic is a recursive function. A recursive function is basically a function that call itself to solve the problem. It's like more about mathematical equation. Think like a mathematical equation where you just write the equation and put your value and get your answer. So in function, recursive function, it's basically split bigger problem into smaller part and make until it's easy to solve. So let's say that I wanted to write my function factorial, uh, and how I write my function: if num is equal to 0 or 1, it will return 1, otherwise it will return this equation. This equation is more likely to factorial equation. So let me explain further. Let me write my run my function, and now I will call my function, and so that I will call 5 and 120. How I get 120 here? Let me show you with brief example. So this is how it's work. So you write the function factorial, and this is more likely factorial equations. So when you pass argument 5 value, what will happen? It will go to the function. This equation is false, so it will go to else condition. What's going on in else? 5 then multiply factorial 4. How 4? Because it will subtract -1. So 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. So it will become 4. And this 4 will call to the function again factorial 3. 4 multiply factorial 3. And then again it will call factorial 2, factorial 1 and 1. So when you have factorial 1, this condition will true, we get the value 1. After that it will return the result. So 1 multiply with 2, then multiply with 3, like in a back way multiplications, 4 and 5, and then it will return the results. So this is how our recursive function is work. I hope it's clear. It's more likely a direct way of writing the function, and the idea is basically when we're using this function basically is calling the function itself, as I show you how factorial is subtract every time -1 number and then calling until it's become a smaller part and solve, and then it will backward multiplication and get the results. So this is how it's work. I hope it's clear. If still have any doubt, feel free to write in the comments and we'll try our best to answer. That's it for today's video. Today we briefly discuss function and recursion. We also see a few examples about function and recursions, and if you want to source code, I already mentioned the link here, so you can check this link where you will redirect to our GitHub page as well, where you can download our code and reuse this code as well. So if you have any question, feel free to write in the comment, or you can write by email as well. And thank you so much guys. If you like this video, please share, subscribe, and see you in the next time.